Have you ever used the wrong tool for a job? Or are you just tired of your current data analytics setup? Or are you an individual who just wants to get into data analytics, but you have no idea where to even begin? Then this video is going to be a game changer for you, because I'm going to show you a system that I took over 10 years of refinement to set up. I'm going to show you secrets on how to install a $15,000 software for free, including how to get Excel for free. In addition to that, I'm going to give you tips that helps you save countless hours of headaches that I've personally gone through to save you from going through them. What if I told you there's an ocean of data all around us to help us make the best possible decision with a proper data analytics setup? In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process to set up the best data analytics setup there is, to help you unlock the incredible power hidden in your data. Python is one of the most influential programming languages there is, used all the time by the best data analysts. It's an essential part of the data analytics workflow, and I regret not using it earlier. One of the best features of using Python as a data analyst is effortlessly pulling data from the internet. When installing Python, we're going to actually use Anaconda, because it actually runs Python up to 8 times faster, especially for the data science toolkits. So you're going to go ahead and select which of the operating systems you're going to be downloading, select it, download it, and open the installer. From here, we're going to click Next. We're going to accept the license agreement. We're going to click Just Me, because this is going to enable us to have the choice to choose our environment variables. So here, we're going to select Add My Path environment variable. It's going to say it's not recommended. Don't worry, don't be concerned about this. This is just their way of ensuring and securing themselves against lawsuits for those who have installed it too many times or don't understand environment variables. You're going to click this, it'll make your life so much easier. And we're going to clear package cache upon completion. Go ahead and install. We're going to wait about 5 minutes, and then it should be completely completed. We're going to be using VSCode as a code editor. It's super important as a data analyst to be using the right tool for the job. Using the wrong tool can give you a huge headache or waste your time. It's kind of like when I was remodeling a house using tin snips to cut a bunch of metal, and it took forever and gave me hand blisters, and I just was tired of it. So I had a friend come over and give me a Sawzall, and we cut up all that metal in 5 minutes. VSCode is like a Sawzall. Let's smash through this download so we can get to the fun stuff. Select your operating system and download as simple as clicking on the button. Open the installer. Accept the license agreement. Continue to click through all these next options and install. Super excited. We just got past the boring part. Now we can get into revealing all those secrets I was telling you about. We start with the introduction page on getting started with VS Code. The only thing you need here is to set it to dark mode if that's what you care about, which I personally do. Then move over to extensions. Now we're going to add in some of the extensions that we need for using Python in VS Code. The number one most installed extension, Python. We're going to go ahead and install that right there. The reason why we need this Python installed is because it brings in Python IntelliSense. If you don't know what this is, it's probably the number one best feature of using VS Code. Words cannot express how amazing this feature is. It must be shown. So let's quickly install this feature, and I will show you why you absolutely need it in just a moment. Next is Jupyter Notebooks. Go ahead and install that. We're using Jupyter Notebooks. It's an absolute must because it allows you to write and test your code modularly. The best way to think of this is if you were working for a Lego company and they asked you to build a Lego of the Millennium Falcon, and you had to build each individual piece and see how it worked and corresponded with all the other pieces. And so what this does is allows you to build each individual piece of code that you need and then see how it interacts and works with the rest of the product before you complete your entire project. Absolutely amazing and absolute must need. And the last thing we're going to put in is a Python environment manager. We're going to go ahead and install that. So what is a virtual environment? It's actually best defined by our use case. So programming languages like Python They have new versions that come out to release features that programmers could then use and build cooler and cooler things. But when you're trying to run a piece of code that you wrote years ago, you want to be able to run it, and it's going to have the version that it was built on. And in order for it to compile, you want those two pieces together. In order to do that, we're going to create an environment that brings those two pieces together. So what that does is it has the code and the version stored in the same place so you can compile them together. We're calling this a virtual environment. And if you take my best programming advice, which is program for the person behind you, because it will likely end up being you. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look right now at how to set this up. So we're going to create a folder over here, and we're just going to drag it in here, and it opens up automatically. So we get this pop-up that asks, do you trust the author of this folder? You're the author. Do you trust yourself? Don't be this guy. The answer is yes. Once we do that, we're going to come over here to this workspace environments. And this is where it gets really cool and some of the pieces really start to come together. So here you can see Conda, the Anaconda Python library that we already established and set up. And you can see in here it has all the different packages. But we want to create one that's specific to this folder and this specific workspace. So this is going to be our virtual environment. We're going to create an environment here. We're going to do Conda. We're going to choose Python 3.11. This is the latest version of Python. It's setting up our virtual environment. And then check this out. This is the exciting part. You see this? Our Conda package has been put into our folder directory, so it's specifically there. And here's some of the best part for some of the more senior developers. If you open up the package libraries, it's very shallow and very, very narrow, and you can delete them to thin it out as thin as you want. So now let's go ahead and start a new file. We're going to open up our Jupyter notebook that I was telling you about that allows us to create modular coding. So we can add in three different pieces of coding here. We're going to import requests, which allows us to run APIs. And we got this error message here. It says not accessed by plans. That's because it's not in this package library. The way we're going to do that is we're going to do this really simply. And the way this is really cool. We're going to go ahead and open in terminal. This is getting a little techie for you guys who are new, but just bear with me for 2 seconds. So this gives us the actual location of the environment. So we're going to copy that. We're going to type in Conda Install requests -p. That tells us the path of the location that we've set up our virtual environment. And when we put that in, we can now add in a new library packages into our virtual environment and be able to leverage them. We're going to go ahead and click yes. It's going to install and push them onto our virtual environment. As you can now see, requests is in our packages, and this has been resolved. You can now see requests as HTTP library that we can now start running some HTTP requests through this. Now, this is where we get back to the IntelliSense. As you can see, this color coordination, it's absolutely awesome. You see it's clearly distinctive import, a Python library code, and then requests identifying that as this particular library. We're going to go ahead and create a variable called responses. And then from here, we're going to put in requests. And you can see it mirrors from that library. You can see this color coordination. This is the best part. With the IntelliSense, I press dot, and it tells me all the different things I can do from that library. We're going to type in get, and just by pushing tab, it tabs it out. Parentheses, you see this color coordination, absolutely amazing. If you're programming and you're not using an integrated development environment that doesn't color coordinate them, you absolutely need to move over, get on to VS Code, and start programming this way. I paste in a API location, and then down here, I'm going to do print, and see this color coordination, absolutely amazing. So then we're going to print our responses, and we're going to push it into text. We're going to let this run, and there you have it. We're going to choose our environment. We're going to choose our environment that we just set up, this virtual environment, and let it run. And now you can see we got the JSON data back from that API, and we can now import that wherever we want, a CSV, a database, and there you have it. We have our code in segments using Jupyter. We have our code in Python embedded into the project, IntelliSense helping us program all the way along, So now let's look at setting up a $15,000 software for free that will let you transform and clean and store your data. Yes, that's right. SQL Server is $15,000 for their Enterprise Edition. And I'm going to show you the secret on how to get it for free and how quickly we can set it up on your machine. But before we do that, it's important to discuss why SQL Server and why it's so important. Well, the number one reason is SQL itself is one of the leading skills that's required for new hires in almost all data roles. And the second reason is Microsoft SQL has been being used and the leader in the industry for over 2 decades. So, with those two reasons combined, if you want your data cleansed, transformed, merged, and stored, SQL Server is going to be one of the number one best tools for you to have set up on your machine and learning to use. Using the link from the description down below, you come here. If you scroll down, you can see the free specialized editions for developers. Download now. Open the installer. We're going to select a basic installation. Great, now that we have SQL Server set up, we need to use their integrated development environment called SSMS. We're going to go ahead and install that now. That opens up this page. We download SSMS. We download it right here. Open up the installer. Great, we've installed and downloaded $15,000 software for free that manages data, but we have no data. So let me show you the best corporate learning data there is. If you go ahead and check out this secret down below in the link, you'll find the AdventureWorks 2020 backup file. Go ahead and click it and download it right now. So follow this link. Here's the AdventureWorks sample databases, and we have all of these to choose from. We're going to download the backup file for 2022. From here, the site shows you how to use their graphical user interface to restore that database. This works, but sometimes it runs into issues. So I prefer to use the following code as I've never had problems with the code. I'm going to go ahead and connect in with a new query. I open up my restore script. I go ahead and just run this by pressing F5 or execute up here. And it's going to tell me the logical names that I need to have here and here and here. And we just go ahead and run this, F5. It's been successfully restored. I click refresh over here, and now we can see my AdventureWorks database with all of the tables that come associated with it. We can just come down to sales, order, select top 1,000, and now you get to see the 1,000 records in the sales order table for you to start messing around with. Before we go too much further, the number one setting that you absolutely need to do, come into Tools, look for Text Editor, General, and then go to Line Numbers. You click OK. There you go. You have your line numbers. Absolutely critical to have so you can use it in future development. Now that we have set up Python for extracting data and higher level analytics, SQL Server for storing our data, we now need to complete our setup by setting up the most in-demand data visualization tools. These tools will allow us to visualize data into information so we can make actionable decisions. To start with the data visualization tools, we'll start with the number one best beginner data visualization tool there is, Power BI, because its origins come from Excel, which is the number one used data analytics tool there is. Sorry, Mac users, it's just not available to you. But our next tool is, so just hang on for a moment. The best way to install Power BI, believe it or not, is to open up Windows Store. Type in Power BI. Select Power BI Desktop Install. By doing this through Microsoft Store, it automatically updates Power BI with the latest and greatest releases. Go ahead and open it. There you have it. You have Power BI here. You can go to Get Data, import from that SQL Server that we just installed. If you don't know the server name, just type in the command prompt, host name. Connect in. Select your AdventureWorks, and you can just select the tables that you want to bring in to see your data. We're now going to jump over into our next tool. Now that we have Power BI on our machine, we must get Tableau on our machine. Tableau is the best data visualization tool for aesthetics there is. It creates the most beautiful and gorgeous visualizations to help your decision makers make those actionable decisions. The best part is it's available on your Mac as well. The only drawbacks to Tableau is that for beginners, it can be a bit cumbersome and difficult at times. In addition to that, the semantic layer is a little bit rigid and not as easy to use. Here's the kicker with Tableau. They try to make their free version obscure and difficult to find. So go ahead and check it out in the link down below, and we'll go ahead and start downloading and installing. Go ahead and click download the app. We're going to do download Tableau Public. Enter in your information. If you're not seeing it download, go ahead and make sure you click the operating system and it will download right away. Open the installer. We accept the terms and licensing agreement. And for this option, don't send product usage data. So let's go ahead and be tinfoil hatters and deny them the data that allows them to improve the product that helps us improve our career for free because, well, Big Brother. Once completed, it automatically opens up Tableau. And there you have it. Let's go ahead and demo all of these tools working together. But first, let's go ahead and install the #1 used data analytics tool in the world. Yes, it's Excel. That's right, Excel. Throughout my entire career, every single person I've ever worked with has regularly used Excel in their data analytics. If you don't have it, it's an absolute must. No questions asked, you need it. So Office 365 costs $7 a month, which gives you Excel. Or Excel is $150 for individual license. But I'm going to show you the secret on how to get it for free. And no, it's not, are you a student? The question is, are you a developer? You're a developer, right? So if you're a developer, go ahead and check out the link down below, and we're going to go ahead and open up a developer account through Microsoft, and then we're going to use that account to go ahead and install Office 365 through the Microsoft Store. So let's go ahead and jump in. Go ahead and click Join Now. It will require you to sign in with a Microsoft account. If you don't have one, go ahead and create a new one. Once we come here, you're going to choose your region. Type in a company name. You can choose the company that you work with. Please don't use my company. Accept the terms and conditions. You obviously don't want to be put on an email list. Personal projects. And we're going to go ahead and select all. Save. Configure a sandbox. Next. We're going to create a username. We're going to create a password. You're going to put in a phone number. As you can see here, you now have your Microsoft admin password, and you can create up to 25 users. So we'll go ahead and go to subscriptions. You see that you have 90 days. As long as you're continuing to use it, it will continue to renew. Add in your password. It welcomes you to Microsoft 365. From here, you're going to go into the admin, and you can go ahead and add users. So we'll go ahead and add a John Smith. And we're going to assign him a Microsoft 365 developer. Make sure, regardless of whether you've created other users or not, go to the user that you're desiring to use. Go to Licenses and Apps, and make sure that Office 365 is selected. Save changes. Now you can go back to your Office 365 home, install apps, and you can see Install Office. Go ahead and click Install. Go ahead and save and install, and you now have Office 365 installed on your machine for free. Now that we've set up all of these pieces of software, the setup is complete. Let's do a quick demo that briefly shows a use case where I would use all the tools in concert together. So with VS Code and with Python, we're able to use this API, pull and extract data regarding city information, and correlate it to our AdventureWorks database to bring in population. So as we scroll down, we can see how we connect in and write in and execute some stored procedures and write data into our database. Once we're in our database, we can see here that we've extracted and pulled in this information. And now we can use our data visualization tool to bring it to life. And we can see here, we've integrated into this data mart, our cities data. And we can come in here and do a quick data validation check and see that, hey, we're missing some things, something's off. We also identified that we had a many-to-many relationship. So we'll go ahead and export this into Excel. And now you can go ahead and see that we have it into Excel. We have all the tools combined for all of the data analytics and setup that will allow you to become a complete rock star from a junior level all the way to a senior. If you found this video helpful in any way, let me know in the comments down below what you liked and what you didn't like, what you'd like to see more of, and if you want to see another video using this tool setup, check out this video next.